I've hesitated to write this for a long time, mostly because I still don't know how to explain it. I'm not someone who believes in ghosts, demons, or curses. But what happened to me last summer doesn't fit into anything rational. This isn't a haunted house story. It's a story about a bench. A plain, wooden bench by a lake. One I somehow didn't notice until 2 months after moving in. In May of last year, I moved to a small town in Maine. After a rough divorce, I needed to reset. Somewhere quiet, cheap, and far away from everything. Since I work remotely as a software developer, I rented an old cabin a couple of miles from Montgomery Lake, a place none of my friends had ever heard of. Perfect. The first couple of months were uneventful, peaceful even. I'd take morning walks through the woods, spend my afternoons working, and read in the evenings. The forest around the lake was calming, especially early in the morning. I'd occasionally see a fisherman or two, but for the most part, the place was deserted. Around mid-July, I noticed a bench near the lake's edge. It looked like it had been there forever, half sunken into the dirt, not falling apart, but definitely old. I was surprised I hadn't noticed it before. I walked the same path every day. It was positioned perfectly, facing the water at just the right angle. I snapped a photo of it with my phone. Something about it was oddly inviting. The next morning, I brought my coffee and sat on it for a while. 10, maybe 15 minutes. Nothing strange happened. But that night, I had a dream I hadn't had in years. In the dream, I was sitting on the same bench, but everything was scorched. The lake was black, the sky red, and the air felt burned. Someone was standing behind me. I couldn't see them, but I could feel their breath on the back of my neck. I jolted awake, heart racing. The next day at the local grocery store, I mentioned the bench in passing to the older woman at the checkout, Mrs. Carroll. When I brought it up, she suddenly got quiet and said, "I wouldn't sit there too long, sweetheart. Folks around here say that bench isn't for everyone." I laughed it off. But the next day, I found myself back there. I started going to the bench daily. Each time, I'd stay a bit longer, sometimes an hour, just staring at the water. It felt calming, or at least I thought it did. The dreams returned. Always the same figure behind me. Sometimes they sat beside me, and I could hear the wood creak under their weight. But I could never turn my head. It was like my neck was locked in place. I started waking up more often around 3:13 a.m. every night. I'd wake up and swear I could smell lake water in my room. One morning, I woke up with a scratch on the back of my neck, thin like a fingernail. My nails are always trimmed, no pets in the house, my neighbor's cat never came inside. That same night, I went to look at the photo I'd taken of the bench, and it was gone. Not deleted, just gone, like it had never existed. I checked backups, cloud, storage, everything, nothing. I could have sworn I took it. There's a small town library near Main Street. The guy who works there, Ed, is the kind of person who knows everything about local history. When I asked about the bench, he paused, then said, "You mean the watcher's seat? That's what the old-timers called it. Been there since before World War II. Couple folks have gone missing from there, sitting by the lake. Eventually, people stopped talking about it." He rummaged through a drawer and pulled out an old newspaper clipping. Local fisherman disappears by Montgomery Lake. Last seen sitting at the water's edge, clothes found neatly folded on the bench. That scared me enough to stay away from the lake. I didn't go back for several days. On the fourth day, I woke up soaked, still in my clothes, sitting on that same bench. My phone was waterlogged in my pocket. My cabin had been locked from the inside. I moved to a motel across town and set up cameras in the cabin. Nothing showed up. But the dreams didn't stop. Each time the figure sat closer. I tried leaving town completely. My car broke down 5 miles out. GPS froze, no signal. I started walking back, planning to crash at the motel again. I don't remember taking a wrong turn, but I ended up back at the lake, middle of the night. Bench right in front of me, empty. I don't remember if I sat down. Last thing I recall is a voice in my head. You came back on your own. I'm writing this from a different state. I left everything. House, job, town. I just needed to get away. As far as I can tell, that part of my life is over. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I swear I can hear wood creaking just beside me. And I'm no longer sure I walked away from that lake entirely. If you ever find yourself in Maine, near a quiet little place called Montgomery Lake, don't sit on the bench.